Sifu means literally master. But myself, I don't, I'm a guide. I'm a student, I'm a teacher. I like to expand my students' knowledge, and through their learning process, I've actually learned and expanded my knowledge. Believe it or not, I was born in Houston, Texas, and at 7, my mom divorced my dad, and they moved to New York. And so from 7 to about 18, I lived in the New York area. First started in the Bronx, Riverdale, and later on we moved all the way up to Peekskill, New York, where Jackie Gleason and Jack Parr used to live, and even Mel Gibson came from Peekskill. Very busy. 5 boys, I'm the oldest, and I had 4 younger brothers. And it was just always very busy. We're cleaning the house, cleaning the yard, just like regular family. Well, I met a gentleman by the name of Shigula Oyama. This was in White Plains, New York. My mom brought me to the school. He is the brother of Masoyama, who is famous for killing the bull in Japan with 1 punch to the head. And so I trained with his brother in the martial art called as Kyokushinkai Karate. Oh, I guess just to see how everyone worked in unison as a team, that really impressed me. I just loved it. In fact, one of my teachers, Bob Bremer, who learned from Bruce in Oakland for 3.5 years privately, basically, he was a street fighter, and Bruce would much rather listen to him than to go to tournaments, because the street has no rules except for survival. Well, to be honest with you, like I said, I had 9 too many tournaments. I fought in Masu Park's tournament in Philadelphia, and I got this shattered, and that was an eye awakening. And speaking of which, I lost the sight of my eye not too recently, probably about 6 years ago, and I've had to adjust. It's called a back spin rake kick, and I got it, but I kept fighting, and I even won 2nd place in the green belt division, and so ever since then, I said, okay, I need something else. And so I started getting into other martial arts and trying to learn how to counter things that I didn't quite understand and that were unexpected. And Bruce was all about that, and that really attracted me to the Jeet Kune Do. It really did. Or the way of the intercepting fist, as Bruce would say. Bruce approached it martial arts as basically a scientific approach. It wasn't based on dogma. It was based on science. It was based on street. There were no rules that limited you. There are some things like in tournaments I could not do, which I like to do. You see, it's sort of more of a, back then it was sort of a gentleman's agreement, you might say. You could hit a little bit, but not too much. We're in the street, they could care less. Yeah. And so, nowadays that's what I'm more interested in myself, just like Bruce. They didn't know Bruce. That's all I can say. And they didn't know what or understand what he taught. I mean, believe me, Bruce learned to be deceptive, and that was important. There is things that Bruce would teach his students, which were my teachers like Tim Tackett Sr. and Bob Bremer, and of course Dan Inosanto and Taki Kumura. Basically, when you interpret aggressive body language before your opponent or attacker hits you, you intercept or hit or kick them. And so that's how I handle things. To think out of the box, to not to waste time, to go direct. Be direct in every perspective of my life. It's changed from that perspective. Even working at the hotel that I work at.
Yeah.
It's affected my whole life. I like to ask you, when did you start thinking out of the box? That's what I would like to ask Bruce. This perspective that you had is amazing. It's still today so far advanced of what other teachers are teaching. Another thing is that Bruce came to consider different things that other teachers didn't think about. Like, for example, professional liability in a sense. There's catcher shin guards. We wear catcher shin guards on our legs so we can kick low without basically breaking each other's knees. That alone, I thought was very interesting, that he considered a more street approach, but yet safety was really important to him. And so his students could make it to the next day, or class. You never stop being a student. If you start being a student, you become stagnant. Your mind ceases to expand. You become normal, you become narrow in your thinking, and that's wrong because there are so many things out in the street that can happen. So many things, and you have to learn to be adaptive. Not only from a self-defense perspective, but also from a business perspective. My teaching philosophy is basically to expand my students' knowledge, experience, and to know themselves. That's what martial arts has taught me, to know myself, to know my strengths, to know my limitations. That's what it has really taught me, and that's why I look at it from my students' perspective, is how they better their life. We're seeing my son Connor actually being born, and guess what? I had a Filipino OBGYN deliver the baby, Connor, my son, and that was the greatest moment of my life. And my wife looked at me, and she's a little Chinese girl named Jen, and she looked at me and says, "Your face is glowing." I said, "I thought your face was supposed to be glowing." I said, "No, your face is glowing." I said, "Well, what can I tell you? I'm a proud papa." Well, I'll tell you what, I just started back teaching because I didn't want to hurt my student, and actually I didn't want to get hurt when I'm training with them. And 6 years ago when I went totally blind in this eye, I said, you know what, I'm going to get back into the saddle and start teaching again. And so thank God, I'm only 63. So I have 10 years left at least, maybe 20, who knows, 30. My family has a long lifeline, and I'm just going to grab the bull by the horns and teach martial arts or Jeet Jeet Kune to students and people who are willing to learn from me.